Life sucks now. I'm feeling nostalgic for a time before my own. Back when people dressed and acted how they wanted. Back when you could say whatever you want. Back when malls existed and you didn't just buy it on Amazon. Back when people made stuff for the love of the art and not for monetary gain. And back when people said slurs. Oh, it was a joke, man. It was just edgy humor. Ow.
Alright, it's no secret as to what exactly I'm interested in. If you paid attention, you'd see I rebranded my channel like a few months ago and started uploading to it instead of twiddling my thumbs like a little bitch. I've always been interested in goth / emo / scene / gay bitch culture ever since I was born, especially since I grew up with like all the stereotypical 2000s stuff. I had the original Xbox playing games like Psychonauts, Cell Damage, Voodoo Vince, Whiplash, etc. before moving on to the Xbox 360. My parents' playlist consisted of music you should never ever play near a 7-year-old. Even the cartoons and shows I watched, the DS games, the comic books I had, all were from the same 2000s era of edgy, super saturated, dark, depressing cartoons and overly sugary mall emo. But one of the important ones is mindless self-indulgence. Damn it! That's 2 canceled people in 2 videos in a row. I quit. Disregarding any controversy regarding Jim Piss because I would rather die than become a video essay YouTuber, he was definitely at least partly responsible for a lot of people finding out about a scene aptly titled Scene. Nice name, guys. I found out it on the way to the bookstore. What was it called? It was called Book! So it was to my surprise when I was looking around the internet for weird stuff to talk about that I found out Jimothy Liquid Gold was involved with the creation of a video game. I Want to Be Human. I Want to Be Human is a game published by Rising Star Games, who have actually made some pretty big name stuff. They made some Harvest Moon games, Deadly Premonition 2, Little Dragons Cafe, Hello Kitty Cruisers, oh no. The game, however, was developed by Sinclair Strange, an artist and developer who has created a multitude of games. I haven't checked any of them out, they might be fucking awful, they might be masterpieces, but I do like his drawing, so it's okay. So we've got an insanely obscure game created by a scene artist with music from the lead singer of MSI, and it's a tough as nails platformer game? Take my fucking money! Except it's not on Steam anymore.
Fuck!
And there's no downloads available.
Double fuck!
And there's no one I know who owns it, so I can't use Steam Family Library.
Triple ass fuck burger!
However, this minor setback wasn't gonna stop me. I scoured the internet for people who owned the game. No luck. I searched for half an hour for a download of the game. Nothing. And just when I thought all hope was gone, and I was gonna have to make the 40-minute Nickelodeon Games video despite really not being ready for another half an hour video, I remembered one thing. CD Keys! CD Keys is a very weird website. You know Humble Bundle and Fanatical, how they get official keys of the games from publishers to sell in bundles for cheaper? Yeah, what if they did that, but it wasn't official? Scams are aplenty on this website. Keys are acquired illegitimately with credit card fraud sometimes, and you're basically just pirating the game but with the added bonus of swiping your credit card for your Nigerian prince every time you download something. However, at this point, this was all I had. I found a random Steam key website selling it for 12 bucks. It looked shady to hell and back. I put in my credit card info, and I got the game! Well, with the game acquired, there's not much else I can say. Without further ado, I Want to Be Human. Alright, opening the game and already I have a positive. A lot of the reviews from 8 to 9 years ago say that the game becomes unplayable when a controller is plugged in. Well, I can safely say that it works pretty well, but that might be because I'm on Windows 11 instead of Windows 10, and also I have 9 years of technological advancements in my computer, so maybe I just don't notice the poor optimization. Just looking at these menus, man, I am in love. I adore the characters next to this very crisp font. The menu has so much passion in it, and this music is... What is this music? I am not adverse to games having theme songs, especially punk theme songs. Go Go Hypergrind is a great example of a theme song that fits the game, but I don't know. There's just something about it that doesn't fit here. Maybe it's the super cutesy emo artwork, but this game doesn't scream two-stepping and straight edging. It screams, I hate my parents and I really, really, really like 303. Well, anyways, we have a cute story about a girlfriend and boyfriend, except, uh-oh, the boyfriend is now a vampire hat and you have to, like, turn him back or something. It's not the worst excuse, and it gives us a good motivation to explore random locales. Jumping out of the cutscene and into the tutorial, I think it's fine. It's a little confusing, especially with this very unique art style, which I'll get to, but it's serviceable. This is a hard-as-nails platformer akin to Super Meat Boy, except you aren't meat, you are a girl, and also you have a fucking gun. Going through this thing, it shows us the controls, which are undoubtedly one of the best parts of this game. Everything feels so snappy, your gun has a good amount of weight even if it has literally 0 frames of animation. Your jump is floaty, but that's definitely intentional. If you double jump, you literally float back down, and it's easy to get used to this anyways. Plus, you have a wall jump, so it's peak 10 out of 10. Alright, we're out of the tutorial and into the full game. It's time for everyone's favorite part of the review, bitching! This art style. If there's one thing that the art style is that the rest of the game follows suit with, it's that it's unique. I'm not the biggest fan though. Ignoring the color palette for a second and looking at purely the designs, obviously the characters are recognizable, but like, look at the background elements, the blocks, the objects. What are these really supposed to be? It feels like a mishmash of just things thrown together, not really bearing any resemblance. However, taking the color palette into consideration, and now we have one of the biggest flaws with this game. Do you know Downwell, the $3 roguelike platformer game? Yeah, that has the same color palette, red, white, black, and very occasionally blue. However, Downwell showcases exactly how to do this style, while I Want to Be Human kind of pisses all over it, like Jimmy Yearn. Downwell uses the color palette to achieve its simplistic style very smartly. The black and white are used for basically everything, the environment, enemies, items, etc. However, a small red accent is used on things of importance, objects that will hurt you, enemies, and of course items. This is a genius color palette design that allows me to know everything the second I see it, even if it's for the first time. However, when I Want to Be Human uses this color palette, everything uses the same color. The backgrounds are white and red. The enemies are white and red. Objects that hurt you, objects that don't, items you can grab, score blocks, everything looks the same, leading to getting extremely confused very quickly. But I mean, I do like the character designs, especially all the random art and comics throughout the journey, and I feel this style could have worked, it just needed better execution. I feel a good way to describe my feelings with the visuals is eye candy. It's not very memorable, and thinking about it, it's probably bad, but it sure is sweet in the moment. Anyways, the levels themselves are pretty fun. The levels, just like a lot of things in this game, have problems, okay? But there's just something there that keeps me coming back. I enjoy the simple yet hard platforming mixed with just plowing down enemies with your gun. It's a very satisfying loop, and the levels are well enough designed and short enough to where it's addicting to go just one more. They also have a lot of personality. I enjoy all the designs of the cute characters at least, and throughout the stages you'll see text bubbles of what they're saying, which is cute, even if they have such insightful commentary as, "You're a dildo head," "Shut up, you tampon," and my personal favorite, "Tit." Now, a lot of the level design does feel a little thrown together. I'm not a huge fan of how aimless some of these stages feel, but it also invokes a little bit of exploration, which is fun, especially with the combat. The combat in this game is, well, you see, the combat in this game, it's bullshit, okay? I didn't want to look like a pussy. I enjoy hard games. I enjoy brutally hard games. I do not enjoy unfair games. This game is unfair. The combat in this game consists of taking 20 steps forward and suddenly like 40 enemies spawn randomly in front of you, all with different attack patterns in different directions who blend into the background. Sometimes you can't even see what's hitting you. Some of the enemies I do like. Trust me, I really do. Most of the level 1 enemies are fun. I like the dragon that shoots at you. I like the game consoles. Really, the only one I don't like is the skeleton, and that's because he pops out of the ground without being able to see him, jumps extremely high every second, and shoots homing bones, and takes 3 hits to kill, and that would be annoying if it weren't for the fact they spawn 4 at a time. I even like the fact you have to kill enemies to eat their guts and regain health. It adds an actual incentive to focus on shooting them as opposed to just score go up, which adds some real thought into how you play the game. Do I try and power through this section and hope I make it out with enough health? Do I try to take it slower, killing off each enemy individually to keep my health up in case I get shot? It's a genuinely fun system. But a big problem with this game is it feels artificially hard. Not a lot of this game feels like it's testing my skills, it feels like it's testing my patience. The platforming isn't that hard. The enemies aren't that hard. Your moveset, honestly kind of overpowered, and so in an effort to try and make the game harder, it feels like they were like, oh shit, the game's too easy, put 10 enemies right there, put some right here next to the insta-kill jizz, put one next to every ascending platform. It's frustrating because I feel like this could still work. I was still having fun and motivated to keep playing because of how hard everything was, but I feel like it doesn't work because 1, there's too many enemies, and 2, this game is not designed for what it's trying to go for. That might sound stupid, but hear me out for a minute. This game wants to be a platformer, but is designed more like Contra, a game where the platforming takes a back seat in favor of more combat, and I feel like that would have been so cool to go for, but it feels like the game is playing tug of war with itself, going, no, you're a platformer, no, you're a shooter, and that doesn't work because I can't focus on the super hard platforming if I need to shoot the super hard enemies, but I can't shoot the super hard enemies unless I complete the super hard platforming. This game is trying to focus on both at once when ideally the game would use simple platforming as a vehicle to move you through very hard shooting segments, or the game would have simple shooting segments to keep you engaged as you figure out hard platforming segments. But when the game is pushing for both at once, neither end up very polished nor that fair, which is a very important aspect of hard games like this. You always want the player to feel like they're the reason they fucked up, not the game. However, as I said before, there's still something that keeps the game engaging, almost addictive in a sense, and I think looking back, I've realized what those two things were. Starting off with the simpler one first. The music, bro. This soundtrack is insane and feels like way more effort was put into it. These heavy chiptune beats with pounding drums just hit so hard. Do I even have to say anything? Have you ever heard World Select music this hard? Like, listen to this.
I forgot to record a segue, so imagine a really funny segue right here in the video. Yeah, that was a good segue.
The bosses in this game are great, well, most of them, and were the true reason I felt motivated to trudge forward. They all have so much personality and humor, their attack patterns are engaging, being very easy to understand while still having challenge behind it. Your entire moveset is put to the test through these short but simple fights that make me surprised this game wasn't a boss rush. Every problem I have with this game leads me to believe it would have worked better as a run and gun akin to Cuphead, with a bit more focus on the platforming. If your arsenal of weapons was able to be expanded on, and the platforming took a backseat to levels focusing on hard-ass enemies with interesting attacks and ended with a boss fight, it would have been sick. As long as they aren't like the Glitch Girl fight. This boss fight broke me, dude. It is everything I like and hate about this game. The creativity is off the charts. I love that the game gets all glitchy during the first phase. I love that the fight has multiple phases. I think some of the attacks can be a real challenge without being bullshit. However, I think that this fight has a huge problem with not being able to see what's coming at you before you get hit by it. It is way too long, especially the first phase, taking a good 5 minutes just for that part if you don't end up dying. And then the second half, oh boy. The second half is RNG based. I am not joking. The attack patterns, instead of being like in a row one after the other before looping around again, instead opt to be chosen at random. And some of these ones, like the blocks, are almost impossible since you can't see what's coming at you. And the rings one is literally impossible not to get hit, which means you could get 8 of the same really easy one in a row, be close to winning, and then get the rings one 4 times in a row and die and have to restart. This is one of the worst design choices for a boss I've ever seen. It appalls me how this even happened. No, you know what? I won't take it. I cannot sit here with these baffling choices and just be expected to guess why it's like this. I need to know exactly what the fuck happened with this game.
So I interviewed the creator.
What sparked the creation of I Want to Be Human?
I wanted to make a game that mimicked my artwork I used to do on DeviantArt. It's really as simple as that.
What was it like working on I Want to Be Human?
It was a crazy time. I made quite a lot of the finished product in a motel room for 2 months. I was with my ex-partner and we were moving from Roseville, California to Redding, and had to hold up in a motel room without a fridge, microwave, till we found a house. I didn't have much time to work with on the final product. I believe in total the time spent on development was 9 months, as I had to hit the publisher window of release, hence why a lot of the content was cut from the final build. I had stuff programmed in, believe it or not, like different bullet types like fire, ice, rockets, along with power-ups like a drill and buzzsaw that I had to leave out due to not having the time to fully test and implement. Also, I personally had a very tiny budget to work on with the game. Most of the money went on to audio importing. In hindsight, I underestimated how much I would personally need. So during working on IWTBH, I had to also take on odd jobs to help pay the bills.
Would you say you were satisfied with how it came out?
No, I'm not proud of it, but I did learn a lot from all the mistakes I made. So in that respect, I'm glad I made that game, as it taught me a lot of do's and don'ts of game development and game design practices.
How was it working with Rising Star Games?
Like working with any other publisher, really. Nothing interesting, but they seemed nice enough.
Was there anything you wish you could have done differently about the game?
More time developing it, get more feedback before release, and generally more final polish. But in general, I would change most of it. I replayed it recently, and boy, it's too difficult for its own good. The graphics are a bit too muddy, and the artwork isn't at my best.
Was there anything important you learned from making it?
Everything about what I know about game dev now. What's fun, what's not, difficulty in games, visual stuff, learning better time frames, just honestly everything. Learned so much of what not to do.
What was it like working with James Uringer?
Just like anyone you contract out, I was very surprised that he wanted on board. It was a shot in the dark and he replied back. It was just a few emails back and forth, a little chat about California and New York, and that was it. He did all his emails in capitals. I guess he needed the money.
What are your main inspirations for your current project?
I have several projects on board, but it's funny as I'm currently remaking the original vision of this game. I've been going back to past projects and remaking them, as I'd like to think I have much more skill now, hoping to give this game the justice it deserves.
Have you ever thought about switching up your style, maybe making a 3D game, an RPG, etc.?
I have, yes. I have a few prototypes of a farming sim and an RPG, but it's more having the time and funding to carry on with them. Platformers are really quite easy and quick to do, so many in the future. If I get a successful-ish game under my belt, I might move on to something different.
Do you have any plans to revive the game in the future? Merch, a spiritual successor, etc.?
Yep, currently it's called I Want to Be Human 2, and it's based on my original vision of the game. Robot and his girlfriend taking the evil world face on.
Oh, awesome. How's that coming along?
Well, so far it plays much better than the test engine I'm working on. The buzzsaw power-up is back as with the jetpack, which is now a drone, and possibly turned into a giant toaster. And it has actual weapons in it. The level geometry will be easy to spot, and controller support will be much better, etc. Difficulty toned down, more focus on short levels and boss fights. More running gun than a precision platformer.
Do you have any plans for the future?
Pay off my mortgage.
Thanks so much for your time, Mr. Sinclair.
No problem, Daegon. You're so awesome and cool, and here's $500. I definitely said this in the interview.
Well, It appears that every single problem I have with this game, the creator does too. With that being set in stone, I can now safely say, oh my god, this game is wasted potential! I really wanted to like this game, man. I have been so negative on my channel, and after I played the first world, I really thought I found something special. And I guess I did, but the game just unfortunately went downhill. Taking into account the astronomically short development time, however, I feel like I've been too harsh. Sure, this game is a mishmash of ideas that's way too hard and unpolished for its own good, but we got a full-fledged video game with an extra challenge mode that kinda sucks ass, but I mean, it's there anyways, in 9 months with mostly one person working on it. That is insane to think about, and it becomes clear exactly why this game has the issues it does. However, I still think the game has good moments in it. I enjoy the bosses mostly, some of the levels do have fun ideas or gimmicks, the combat is still great even if it ended up not being as envisioned, and it's extremely unique. I can't think of a game I've played like this before. Overall, I Wanna Be Human is not a good game. I would not recommend it. But would I? Even going through everything wrong with this game, I ended up deriving a lot of fun from this thing. There are more negatives than neutrals or positives I have with this, and it ended up pissing me off near the end, but overall, I'd give I Wanna Be Human a 4 out of 10, with a little asterisk that means if you can find this game online or for cheap on CD keys, you should pick it up and give it a shot. This game apparently has a cult fan base, and I can see why.
But, unfortunately, I'm very lazy and want to work on another video. Thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you all again very, very soon.